Hello and welcome to another episode of Faith of SEMA Racing. So today we've got a bit of a mashup. So today we'll be doing a Ferrari mashup. So what we're going to do here, we're going to compare some Ferrari mid-engine V8s through the years. So first of all, we've got the F355 that you can see here. What we're going to do, we're going to take them around the test track, get some ideas of how the car feels, what it's like to drive, and also try and set a fast lap. So into the track, we're using Indianapolis Motor Speedway, just having a quick look around the car. This car is actually from the mid-90s, and if memory serves me correctly, it was one of the first Ferraris to have the paddle shift gearbox. It's also a car made famous by its appearance in The Rock. I did think of doing the yellow one for this one, but I decided against it. So let's have a quick go. So balance wise, it's actually, for a mid-90s car, balanced quite nicely. It's, not too oversteery, not too understeery, just having a little play here, a bit of handbrake, a bit of a power slide going on these corners of Indianapolis Speedway. As you can see, it will actually slide quite nicely. It's quite neutral, not a heavy oversteer, not a heavy understeer. Power wise, back in the day I would have said it was a pretty fast car. Compared to modern things, I would say it's not so fast nowadays, but still holds up. Tried a little bit of a slide through there again. One thing I did notice there is the lack of power. If I'd changed down to second gear to get any meaningful power out of these tighter corners. Onto the back straight. So it's a nice sounding car. Brakes work well. I wouldn't say they're underpowered for the car. They suit the car well. As you can see here, I can shed enough speed. Could do with a bit more power to get the back end out. That's where I've pushed it a little bit too far, and the rear end weight has started to come round. But second, third, the car's quite fast. A little bit of a bump in that corner. It doesn't really seem to affect this car as much. This is quite a tricky little corner because it gets tighter on the exit, and then the next corner is very hard to see. You're really looking for the curve in the bottom. So there's a nasty little bump just there coming out of that corner. It actually takes us and scuff the wall there. Right, so let's go inside. When we're having a look around, it's very 90s Ferrari, very black leather, very simplistic, nice gauges, but very square heater fans and things like that. Going to the first corner, I've overcooked it here a bit too much and impacted on the barrier. Just took a bit too much speed, the rear end come round, and it's just wanted to swap ends on me. So part of this series, what we're going to do is I'm going to do one lap where I get a feel for the car, see what it sounds like, how it feels to drive, how it reacts to inputs, and then we're going to have 2 flying laps. So the idea of this is I've only got 2 laps, so it's not going to be the best time that we can get in this car. It's going to be more of how quickly can we get that lap time. Is it a car that lap 1 and 2 straight on the pace and are consistent, or is it the fact that I can do it on one lap and not the other because there's a handling deficit or anything like that. So it's going to be an interesting mashup. And that's one thing that Ferrari know how to do, is make a beautifully sounding V8 engine. So just going to stretch the legs onto the back straight. Again, hard braking, down to second. A little kick of oversteer, then it kind of neutralises itself out. This is again another quite tricky corner because you kind of have to wait until you can get to the exit. And final couple of tricky corners. Starting to get used to this car a little bit more now, so managing to keep it a bit more tighter. Didn't run as wide as the first time round. Through this tricky little chicane. So you want to try and take as much speed as possible, but that horrible nasty bump just prior to the apex. Right, onto the famous Indy straight. We're going to go across a yard of bricks in a second. Let's see if we can do a better time on the second lap. Into the first corner. Braking, not full brakes, as you can see on the bottom right hand corner, you can see my accelerator and brake traces, not too much. Ran a little bit wide from oversteer there. I think that is the one thing is with this car, once the rear end does go, it wants to go. It feels quite heavy, it doesn't feel like it wants to come back to you at all. Through the first little switchback, and then going to go onto the banking, then off the banking. Again, there's a little bump there. Doesn't seem to unsettle this car too much, which is always a good sign. Braking not too hard, kind of just feathering it in. Apexing nicely there. Got a little chicane, down to second. Right the curbs. And try and get a good drive out onto the back straight. So a lot tidier laps so far. Picked up over two and a half seconds pretty much. Back down to second. Again, a little kick of oversteer, just a little correction, and then it neutralises itself out. A bit of understeer there, just didn't want to turn in. Through this fast left-hander, and then onto this tricky corner here. So down to second this time. Done well through there. Let's try and see if we can spot the chicane, just about there. Bumps throwing us out a little wide. Okay, we've scuffed the wall there a little bit. Okay, so that will cost us a little bit of time. But as I said, this is 2 laps. It's whatever, it's the fastest lap you can do in 2 laps. So 355, and the fastest lap of 1 minute 53.6.